How's it going, everybody? Adrian here from the Gaming Observer, and welcome back to the Daily News Updates, Monday, October the 19th. Folks, I hope you had a tremendous weekend, and I've got a few news stories here for you from the past few days, so let's take a look. First of all, as we like to do once a month, we're going to take a look at the NPD report, which tracks video game sales across many different mediums, and they, share their findings. September was actually a pretty big month for video games, and here are some of the things that they found. Perhaps as expected, Marvel's Avengers was the best-selling game in the United States, and this made it the second highest superhero game launch in history, behind Marvel's Spider-Man, and it instantly became the 7th best-selling game of the year so far. So even though it wasn't everybody's favorite game, it did perform quite well in the sales. Runner-up of the month was Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which is actually interesting because Nintendo only shares their physical sales data with NPD, not digital. So if they did share their digital, it's possible they may have taken the number 1 spot. And by the way, that happens a lot with these charts and Nintendo. Either way, though, it did become the second best physical release of the year behind Animal Crossing, and is the 6th biggest physical launch in Nintendo US history. So it performed quite well. Other than those two games, we've got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, which are the remakes, and that came in at number 4, and it is now the best launch in Tony Hawk history, beating out Tony Hawk's Underground 2 from 2004, so a nice little revival there for the series. And the last game I'm going to talk about here is Crusader Kings 3, which took the number 7 spot, and it instantly sold more copies than Crusader Kings 1 or 2 have ever sold in just 1 month, which means that it is also the best launch in Paradox Publishing history. So a big thumbs up to them. It is a great game, you should definitely check it out. Especially if you were intimidated by Crusader Kings in the past, they do a really good job of bridging the beginner gap. Okay, so I've been seeing a lot of intrigue, I guess you could say, about a recent interview that Phil Spencer did with Kotaku, talking about the Bethesda acquisition, and I just thought I should clarify it here. So here is the excerpt that everybody is hitting in the headlines, quote, "Is it possible to recoup a $7.5 billion investment if you don't sell Elder Scrolls 6 on the PlayStation, I asked?" That's the interviewer. "Yes," Spencer quickly replied, end quote. So basically what he's saying is, we don't need to put Elder Scrolls 6 on PlayStation in order to make our money back. A lot of outlets have taken this quote, they stripped it out of its context, and then they created these egregious headlines stating that the game is no longer going to be on the PlayStation. And I just wanted to let you know that there's actually more to this than, a quick headline. A better understanding of their position is actually detailed later in the article. I'll give you some snippets here, quote, "This deal was not done to take games away from another player base like that. Nowhere in the documentation that we put together was, quote, how do we keep other players from playing these games, end quote. We want more people to be able to play games, not fewer people to be able to play games, end quote. And basically he goes on to say, we can help a lot of people play games with the various services that we have set up. So it was kind of an answer, but not really. You are welcome to interpret the statements however you want, but please make sure you're actually reading those statements and not a secondhand account of it. The truth is, we probably aren't going to have a definitive answer for this until the marketing campaign, really kicks off. And they're likely going to be intentionally vague about it so that they can still change their mind up to that point. And our final story for today, I want to talk about Stardew Valley. So the developer, Eric Barone, is currently creating version 1.5 of the game. And he recently revealed that it is going to include split-screen co-op, so no longer must you farm with your friends online. If you're playing on PC, you're going to get up to 4-player co-op. Other platforms might be limited to 2. But otherwise, the screenshots that he shared on Twitter are, teasing a bunch of new content as well that people are speculating over. And I mean, if you know anything about Stardew, it's that it's a very big passion project, and it looks like he's continuing that work quite significantly. So feel free to give it a look yourself. Otherwise, folks, that's pretty much everything in the news. If you would like to see more, I do encourage you to go check out the very funny videos that are being made about Mario Kart Live Home Circuit. This is the real-life Mario Kart that's kind of AR, and a real cart is running around your house. People are putting out videos of that with their cats just being freaked out, and it's absolutely hilarious. I love it. Otherwise, I would also like to give a big thank you to Nick for leaving the Gaming Observer a 5-star review. And folks, if you would like to do that yourself, please head over to Apple Podcasts or any other podcast host of your choice and leave a review there. It really is tremendously helpful to growth and getting new listeners. That's going to be all for today, folks. Thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, happy gaming, everyone. Hello, TGO After-Show. I was originally going to talk about the cats in Mario Kart on this show, because it's hilarious. Like, the cats are so freaked out, and I mean, don't get me wrong, they're typical cat videos. Like, if you've ever seen a cat playing with a toy, it's pretty much that, but I don't know, there's some good videos out there. It got me a little homesick, I guess. You know, I have, there's 3 cats back at my mom's place, and I didn't get to see them that much in kind of my later high school years because I was in one city where my high school was, and then kind of in a neighboring city, like a 15-minute drive away. That's where my mom lived. And once I started working a lot and, you know, hanging out with friends more, getting a little bit more adult autonomy, I didn't want to spend time in a city that was farther away, and I couldn't drive or anything like that. So I didn't get to see my cats all that much, and then obviously I moved away to Toronto and don't get to see them at all now. So anytime I see something cute, gets me a little homesick. Anyway, the NPD report, I thought that was pretty interesting. Crusader Kings 3 being the best-selling Crusader Kings ever already is pretty fascinating. But I mean, you know, if September is a big month, I can't wait to see what the November charts look like. So many games being released alongside the big consoles. NPD, they also report on like hardware and whatnot every single year. Every single month. But usually it doesn't change that much, right? Like, we saw a pretty big spike for COVID, and it's been, you know, doing pretty well ever since March. And before March, it was pretty much always going down, because that's the way consoles work. The longer a console's out, the less it's going to be bought. But next month, well, okay, I guess next month we're technically going to hear about October. So, in 2 months, November is going to be a banger. My friends, thank you so much for joining me here on the show. I have some homework to do that I gotta go to. And believe me, I procrastinated this thing as much as I possibly could. And we also have a very exciting project coming either tomorrow or the day after. So keep an ear out. It's going to be a one-off video, and I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. It's done now. It's officially confirmed. I just have to release it into the world. So thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, farewell.